All right. Hello, we are live. I'm just waiting for YouTube to catch up. As per usual.
As per usual.
Yeah. We definitely have a lot of people here, which is exciting. Oh, here we go. I see an ad coming up on the other screen. This is good. Okay. We're getting there. Okay. There it is. All right. So hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Hey. Got quite the crew here. Okay. Glad people are popping in. Hello.
Hey, Michelle. Look, I haven't talked to you in a minute.
Well, yes, I do think this is important. Glad you can make some of it. We're excited. This is great. Hello. Son is also watching because he feels it's important. Hey, that's great. Awesome. Hi, everybody. So, this is going to be pretty kind of chill, I think, and we'll see like kind of where the conversation goes. But thank you, Ashley and Mara, for joining. I thought you guys would be good to chat about this with. This is kind of following up on videos all of us have made recently, so I feel like something's like in the air, maybe. Because all of us have kind of made videos recently about like either like how to do BookTube or processes of BookTube or like mental health with BookTube, and so we're kind of gonna like talk about some of that stuff. Maybe we'll answer some questions if people have them. I don't know, and just kind of chat. If people have like specific things they're wondering about, that's fine. I don't know. We can kind of see where this goes. I'm gonna guess most people know you guys, but if you want to introduce yourselves, you can.
I can go first, Mara. Yeah. All right. Hey, y'all. Ashley over at BookIsh MUGS.
Hey, I'm Mara from Books Like Wow.
Want to say anything else?
No, it's fine. I mean, I guess one thing that might be useful for the purposes of this video is maybe we could talk about like how long we've been doing this, and also I guess like in terms of thinking about content creation and schedules. I think that's one of the things I also talked about putting on the list of things to chat about, like what other responsibilities, if any, we have, what are our schedules like, because I think we have quite a bit of variation amongst us for that.
I've been doing this for a while, for a very long time. But I would say like consistently, probably I would give myself like 2018, but I've been uploading videos since like 2014. Responsibilities. What? I think most people know at this point that I'm a mom, and I am a librarian. So,
and you're a single mom, which is like,
yeah, I'm a single mom.
Yeah.
And I work full time as a librarian, which has its like very, very busy moments and sometimes slow moments. COVID kind of made things a little bit more interesting. So now that we're trying to get back into the swing of things, it's made us more busy. And then summer, prepping for summer, no matter what, is always wild. So I am a very tired mommy right now.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have been loading. Sorry.
Tired.
Man, I feel like all of our brains are fried. I've been editing this GD video essay for days, and like literally that's like it's turned my brain to mush. I have been uploading to YouTube since 2017, so I'm coming up in about a month will be my 4-year anniversary. I have consistently uploaded 3 times a week since I started. this week is the first week I've ever purposefully taken off, including my dad dying and having emergency surgery. We can talk about whether or not that was healthy, but yeah, I am single and I don't have kids. I do have 2 very demanding cats. And I'm a senior manager type person at a tech company, so I work a lot. I work a pretty intense job and managing people, things, etc. So work is very intense, and therefore I definitely view YouTube as hobby. If I'm not having fun doing it, I'm failing because I work enough, my 9 to 5.
Yeah. So I think Mara, you and I probably started our channels around the same time because I'm also in June gonna hit my 4 years. Yeah. So I've been doing it for 4 years. I've also consistently been posting at least 2, sometimes as many as 5 or 7, not recently, but early on, videos a week. I've actually was just talking to my husband about considering taking a week break at some point in the near future, and it feels really weird to even make that feel like an option. And he was like, "Yeah, that's not how you should feel though. It should be an option." So we can talk about that. Um, but yeah, so I've been putting up 2+ videos a week for 4 years, and this is kind of my job. I have 2 young kids, so some of my time is dedicated to them. But other than that, I basically work about a full-time schedule between YouTube, podcast, social media, reading and writing reviews and everything. That's basically a full-time job for me. So we all have very different schedules and bandwidth for making content, I think, which is important to talk about with all of this. Yeah.
Oh, Lexa's been on for 4 years in June too.
Oh man. Hey.
We're in the 4-year squad.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
Ashley's an old timer though.
You've been around, Ashley.
You've been around.
I've been around for forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think it's interesting because the only reason I'm able to put as much time into this is that I am married to somebody who has a full-time job with good benefits that pays for most of our expenses. So that means I don't have to, I would like to earn more income from this, but I don't, our survival is not at stake if I'm not earning a ton of income right away, basically. So yeah. Imagine there isn't it.
No. My degree is in accounting with a minor in French, like my undergrad. So I'm a very analytical person, and that's what I do during my day job. So all of my BookTube stuff is, exercising the other side of my brain.
Funny. Yeah. Oh man. Okay, so where do you guys want to take this first? Because I feel like there's a lot of places we could go with it.
Wherever you want to start, because really, honestly, there's so many different directions that this can go in. So
yeah,
jump right in.
It seems like the mental health stuff is pretty relevant at the moment. And I don't know about you guys, I do deal with anxiety that I actively manage. So that's a thing. And it's not something that's an active issue for me most of the time, but I have had a history of dealing with depression. Mental health is a concern. And I can tell when I'm overdoing it because I'll get panic attacks.
Well, my mental health is a laundry list, which I'm pretty open about. I know some people are not as open sharing it, but I've shared a lot just because I feel like it helps other people sometimes. have someone to relate to. So I actively, every single day type of situation, I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder, PTSD, and also the mother lode of them all, borderline personality disorder. So having a personality disorder is probably the most difficult thing to navigate, especially being borderline. And I don't know if anybody knows what, I mean, y'all can ask if you want, I don't have a problem explaining it. But that probably affects me more day to day than anything else. And it's gotten better than where I've been before in the past. But, having a personality disorder is one of those things that you can't take medicine for. It's just, it is what it is. So it's not curable. You just learn how to manage it with intensive therapy. And then with borderline personality disorder, you don't just see a regular old therapist. Like, there's a special form of therapy that I have to go through. So I guess that's kind of where I was going with my video, where I was telling people that, what you see in the screen is not really someone's entire life experience. Although sometimes I know that when we chat with people in the comments or people see us via social media, it gives that feeling that people know who we are and what's going on, but you really don't. So for me, it is a day-to-day struggle, kind of like keeping myself in check and kind of keeping that balance. Yeah, it is very hard to explain, and the comment under that, like, it carries a huge stigma, and even some therapists stigmatize BPD, and it is a very, very sucky thing to have to deal with, especially since a lot of it deals with your emotions and how you perceive people and situations, and it affects how I handle BookTube, but it's just not something that I talk about a lot. But it does. It really does. It affects a lot of what I do behind the scenes.
I want to second this. Yeah, thank you for sharing, because it's definitely not something you have to.
Yeah. So similar to what Bethany was saying, so I have generalized anxiety disorder, which I do take medicine for. I am in recovery from eating disorders. And then I've also had childhood and adult trauma of abuse. So I have been in long-term therapy. Therapy is awesome, guys. Like, I know it's not for everyone, but therapy has been great for me. And for me, that's a part of why it's really important for me for BookTube. Like Ashley was saying, like, I like to share, or at least be a little bit open, because I do think it helps people to destigmatize. Like, I live a full and happy life. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have things that I have to manage, and especially now that I have a chronic illness, like, that's been very triggering to various, pre-existing whatever. But I have a great job. I have great friends. I have relationship with my family. And BookTube for me is a hobby that has been really key for me to, like, help manage anxiety for me at different points in my life. So for me, especially those of you who are in, like, YouTuber chats with me, you'll often hear me having the refrain of, like, this is for fun. And that's because for me, that's so important for me to always have that, like, the front of my mind of, like, okay, the reason I started doing this was to have fun. So, like, it doesn't mean every single moment of every day has to be fun with BookTube, but, like, on balance, if I'm not having fun with it, then, like, I need to, at that point, it's time to pack it in, Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is interesting. I'd be interested to hear your guys' take. I mean, I think you sort of spoke to this a little bit, Mara, but I will say that part of, like, when I started my YouTube channel, in hindsight, I think I was dealing with some postpartum depression, and it was huge for me and my mental health. Like, I think it is really what got me through what I was going through at the time. I mean, obviously, like, there are moments where BookTube can, like, have negative effects, like when drama happens or I like overextend myself. But on balance, I think it's been a positive thing for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think for me, it has, it can play both sides, and that solely depends on um, what I have going on in that moment. I think for the most part, it's been positive, but I think it's easy to kind of get swept up in the unwritten, what I like to call the unwritten BookTube expectations. And I think that has, playing into that, I think sometimes has hurt my mental health more than helped. But when it's good, it's good. But if I'm being transparent, when it's bad, it's bad. So it's kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of it can go either way for me.
Yeah. I mean, I, similar to Bethany, I started my channel at a point where I really felt very out of control in my life. Like my dad had just been diagnosed with cancer, and I was having like existential crisis stuff, deconstructing out of religion, and like I was just feeling very like not like I was the master of my own ship. So for me, starting the channel was a way for me to like focus creative energy into something and to try to feel like I had control over something again. And that's a weird thing to say because like in retrospect, so little on YouTube is within your control. Like so much of it is just like algorithm, luck of the draw, whatever. But in terms of like what I can control is making videos that I'm proud of and like reaching out to people and trying to build community. And so like that was something for me to focus on. And I think like what Ashley was saying, the times where it's bad is when I let myself get in my own head about things that I can't control. And then that can kind of start tripping, especially the anxiety. So I try to focus on, you know, the content itself and the community I've created because I feel like that's what I can control in the context of YouTube.
Yeah. I think like the friendships I've made through this have been so huge because I think I also was just like feeling pretty lonely because I was like living in a fairly new city with a newborn and a toddler and didn't have a job anymore and like didn't know what I was doing with my life and like it was like like making friends in that space is so hard and so like that's been huge and I most of the time I love it. Like I've lately there have been like a few things that have made it harder and I'm still figuring out how to like navigate some of that but yeah, I think it's
the friendship stuff is for real. I mean, like, you know, me and Bethany played D&D together in a group of us just for fun. I mean, I'm trying to coerce Ashley into coming to Nashville at some point. We have the library festival, so like, you gotta let me know.
There you go.
Yeah. So I mean, that's definitely the best part.
Yeah.
Bar none.
I think for me, and this probably will explain a lot, even for people who are watching or people who are friends with me via BookTube. Part of having borderline personality disorder too is moments where you are strongly attached to people, and then other moments where you just don't want to deal. And it's hard because sometimes, how can I explain this? I think that for some, I don't want to say normal relationship because I think normal is just not a good word to use. But I think, like if you have a friendship, somebody says or does something that, makes you upset or whatever. I think for most people, it's you talk about it, you get over it. But for me, what struggles I have with BPD is what they classify as like this black and white and putting people on a pedestal. And then instantaneously you go from, I love you, I hate you. So for me, it makes relationships very, very hard. And I'm not a consistent person, which I make friends and I have friends in the community, but I think sometimes it's kind of hard to understand how to deal with me. And that's in real life too. It's very hard to have interpersonal relationships when you have borderline personality disorder. And a lot of people who have borderline personality disorder purposely avoid having interpersonal relationships because it's so easy to mess them up. So you become very like antisocial. You become very like, you get kind of standoffish. And I think for me, sometimes it's hard because sometimes it feels like I'm all in and then I won't speak to you for 2 weeks. And it's not anything that you've done. It's just the way that I work. And sometimes it's hard for people to understand that. So for the longest time, I intentionally was not trying to really be an active part of the community a lot. Because like in my personal life, like I've struggled so much with that, where I've been close friends with people and then all of a sudden, like I'll disappear off the face of the planet. And a lot of people can't deal with that up, down, up, down. So I isolate myself as a result. And the same thing happens on BookTube, but it's not there for people to see. So you don't know. So one moment, like I can talk to someone every day and then 2 weeks later, like I'm not speaking to you at all. So it makes relationships are it's a tough thing for me. It always has been, and it probably always will be a tough thing for me. So, you know, I love that I've been able to connect with people, but coming to terms with this whole personality disorder and how difficult it is to explain. And I don't fault people for not wanting to deal with that type of thing. And sometimes I can control it, and sometimes I just can't. So I love it. And then I screw it up some way, somehow. Not always, but it is kind of is what it is.
Yeah, that's interesting. I can like relate to some of that because I think I've also been like, I mean, I don't know, like if I am busy or if I'm doing a lot of stuff with like my family or have other things going on, like I will also just like disconnect from people. And so like I'm not the best, and especially long distance. If I don't have something specific to talk to people about, like that I don't have like a lot in common with in my life, I'm not very good at keeping up with people. I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because I think the nice thing about online friendships is that there's less of an expectation of like, hey, where are you at? Like, why weren't you at Bob's party or whatever? Do you know what I mean? So like, it's a little easier to kind of pick up and drop down. But I mean, I think like that realness of like, hey, this is something I struggle with and probably always will, is like,
and
the
I
best
always
place to start.
and it's kind of strange because what I don't do on BookTube that I feel like I need to do with people that I meet on BookTube that I build a relationship with is that in real life, well, it's not, BookTube's not real, but in like my personal life, I do give that that kind of warning to people. Whether it's a new friendship, romantic relationship, whatever, I say, hey, this is kind of what comes with the territory. If you don't want to deal with that, or if you can't understand that, like I completely understand, because it's the emotional instability, it's the mood swings, and you don't mean any harm. And it's with people that you could have good relationships with, people that you love, but sometimes you just can't help it. And it's a very weird, like kind of outer body experience. And part of BPD2 is a disassociation, which that's a whole different ball game to be in a situation where you actually start to disassociate. And I don't even know how to begin to explain that, but I try, but maybe I feel like, I mean, this is just me, like in this moment, I feel like for those people that I am close to in BookTube, I feel like I need to probably, once I get to know people, like, here's this kind of heads up, it really is not you. It really is me. And if it makes you uncomfortable, if you feel like you can't, it's too much, I completely understand.
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, this is probably how I feel about things. Well,
yeah,
and
I've
what's
told
funny?
People that, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I think with other people, I just assume that other people do the same thing. Like that other people are busy or overwhelmed or have a lot going on and like just need time. I don't know.
Yeah, I've always joked that with people of people whose love language is quantity of time will struggle with me because I'm all about like the quality. It's like if, you know, I have friends who like we hung out for 4 hours a year ago. Well, I mean, in pandemic, probably longer, but like we had a really good quality time. We may have texted here and there a little bit, but like I feel just as connected to that person and could like pick right back up with them. But that's just not how everyone is. So some of it I've like found kind of by default over the years of like, okay, if you need me to be like in constant contact, like this is also, I struggle in relationships with that. I'm like, that's not my gig. Like, I'm not just going to be sitting here like boop, boop, ba-doop, texting you during the day. That's just like not my thing.
But what's so crazy is I can be like that one moment. I can be like, oh, I want you to text. I want to talk. And then please leave me alone. Like, I don't have, and then it's so confusing to people like, but wait, like 2 days ago, we were talk. And now you're like, I don't want to deal with you. So it is very much like the up down. I know somebody asked, like, is there something others can do to help maintain a relationship?
Oh yeah.
Honestly, anybody that I have friends that I've been in contact with and close with for over 10 years. And it's patience really on their end and being very open to having a relationship with someone that has a personality disorder. And it is a lot. And, when you're entering any type of relationship, and I can't speak for other personality disorders, but I know specifically with BPD, it's a lot on the other person. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of understanding. It takes a lot of vulnerability between the two people who are involved in that relationship. And, it can be, if I'm lashing out and I'm super angry at something that really is small, it's like, all right, I'm just going to give you your space for right now. And let you kind of figure out. And that's where like the whole therapy thing kind of comes in to it's a behavioral therapy. And I always tell people jokingly, but like I had to be taught how to behave because my mind doesn't process behavior the same way someone else's mind processes behavior. I would act inappropriately in a situation and think I'm acting right. And it's not the right emotions. Like, somebody does something on accident and I'll explode. And it's like, it's not warranted for the situation. And it's not just a temper, it goes beyond that. But honestly, yeah, patience. It takes a lot of patience. Yeah.
Well, if nothing else, all of this whole conversation is explaining to me why I think we are all friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we all have a lot of patience for that.
Yeah. There was a question earlier on that I thought was interesting. Where it's, let's see here.
If you tell me, I'll pull it up.
Cami Johanning, all three of you have people who follow you and look to you for what to feel about events happening. Do you feel pressure of that to always have to be on the right side of things? I thought that was an interesting question.
Yes.
I do my live streams on Tuesdays where I often cover sort of like events that have been going on. Ashley, I know you've had discussion videos. Bethany, you have too. Like, how do you process that?
I can be either or. I think sometimes I feel the pressure. And then there's a part of me sometimes too, that reckless part that just doesn't care, which can be dangerous depending upon what the situation is. But yeah, I think when you are in a social setting like YouTube, the BookTube community, people do have expectations for you to speak out or to be on the right side of history. Or if you don't speak out, are you being complacent? So yeah, I feel like we probably all, to some extent, do feel that pressure. And sometimes I think that, and see, I can go back and forth on this too, because I feel like we just had this discussion about like speaking out.
Yeah, that's
about,
right.
about certain things and using your platform. But
That was a really good conversation. That's over on Jess Owens' channel. It was
Oh
me and
yeah,
Ashley and Jess, and if you
that's
guys are
good.
interested, that was a fun one.
that was a really fun one. I do, for me personally, I do feel the need to speak out about what's happening to others that are not my own experiences. But I would be a liar to sit here and say that sometimes there's so much going on that you feel the need to keep up with every single thing. And sometimes, honestly, it's not humanly possible. And you feel like you must be on top of everything. So, yeah, I do feel the
Yeah.
need to speak up, but there are feelings that are attached to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's complicated because like I definitely do feel that pressure, but I also know that like if I try to keep up with everything, because there's always something, like and globally, like we have people watching us from all over the world. So like the number of things going on, I know that like with my anxiety and with everything else I have going on, like I don't have the emotional bandwidth to talk about and care about everything that happens, and so I try to give myself grace and like do what I can. I also think there are sometimes situations that come up that are really difficult and like like hard to know what is even the right thing to say.
Mhm.
um because you can see like different sides of something. So yeah, like I do feel that pressure, and I try to just like do the best that I'm able, basically.
Yeah, it's tricky because yeah, I probably am similar to Ashley in the sense of like I mean, I'm an Enneagram 1, so I'm very much a like justice oriented person and a very much like we write it down like like especially if I feel like, you know, people I love or care about have
Mhm.
skin in the game, like I feel very
Yeah.
protective of people. So it is definitely, I've enjoyed doing Tuesday night live streams because it's given me the chance to talk about some of that stuff more, and like that is important to me. But it is like I just also I try not to let myself get too caught up in the outcome because I have no control over that, and that's probably just, you'll hear me repeat that a lot. That's definitely a coping mechanism for me. Like whenever I'm starting to spiral, like I really try to compartmentalize of like, is this something I can control? And if
Mhm.
not, I really try to just like let
Let
that
go.
go.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, like especially sometimes things that people don't see are like behind the scenes skirmishes between different friend groups, and that to me is honestly even more stressful because like I said, I'm very protective of people, so like I'm very, I'm kind of I'm a mother hen of like I want everybody like, okay, I want to make sure you get what you need and you get what you need, but like I want to make sure we're all going to like be okay together. So like that to me can be even more stressful than speaking. Like it's easier for me, I don't have a problem getting righteous about something like Black Lives Matter. Like that's an easy thing for me to like take a stand on
Mhm.
because it's so easy. But like when there's, or I mean, that didn't sound right. It is a very big, complicated thing. But in terms of like the moral imperative there is very clear. So like that is clearer. But whenever there's interpersonal whatever,
Mhm.
that is more messy because everybody
Yeah.
wants to talk about it. So
Yeah. I think too, the more complex. I mean, this may seem simplistic, but um, I was thinking about this today at work, just because of some things that have come to light, and like BookTube's idea of canceling authors or stopping
mhm.
things from getting published. That for me is not an easy thing to take a stand with because of my background. So there are
Mhm.
Yeah.
certain things that come into play that I can't so easily vocalize because the conversation's a little bit more complex than, I stand, this is where I stand, I'm going to support this group because what's happening is wrong. Like using that as an example, I can't partake in that. ethically in my background, I cannot do that.
Mhm.
I cannot say, this book, you shouldn't read this book, or this should not be circulating around the community. Everybody needs to stop supporting this. I can't do that, because in my field, that is censorship, and we
Mhm.
don't engage in any of that whatsoever. Regardless of my personal feelings, I can't use my platform, knowing what I've signed up for in my career, to say, don't read this book. Even when I just did the video about 10 books I will never read, I made it a point to say, hey, it's important for me to say, if these are people that you like, these are books that you enjoy, I'm not here to knock you down. If you want to read them, even though I say I don't want to read them, I'm not going to hold you to what I want to do, because I literally cannot. I
Mhm.
can't sit here and be like, oh yeah, I'm a librarian, and say, don't read this book, cancel this person. I can't do it. I can't do it. So stuff like that, you feel pressure to
Yeah.
do X, Y, and Z, but then there are other factors that are preventing you from standing on the right side of those
Mhm.
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Um, yeah, it's hard. I mean, and I hear what you're saying with like the interpersonal stuff. I also think like I have a lot of stuff from like my background growing up that informs the way that I handle certain things too, because like I was the oldest in a very large family and probably had like more responsibility put on me at a really young age than maybe I should have. And so I've had to like actively learn to like delineate like what is and isn't my responsibility, and like the people I am and
Mhm.
am not responsible for. And so like even though sometimes I'll have this like gut desire to just like fix everything and take care of everything, I have to like purposefully put up boundaries where I don't do that because it's not healthy for me.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's like it's interesting how like all of these things about who we are and our lives and our backgrounds inform so much, I think.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing, Amira, that it if someone makes like, if I make because I'm quick to make a personal decision and say, I will not put money in the pocket of this author.
Hmm.
That's just me. But I will never say, you should not support this author. You should not go buy this book. You should not read
Yeah.
this book. I can't direct my job and what I do. I cannot, by the code of ethics that has been set forth by the American Library Association, I cannot tell you what to read and what not to read. I will always, like, if I'm on my channel, I'll say, I'm not doing, because I'm not putting money in that person's pocket, because it's my
Hmm.
coins and I'm not going to do it, and I'm not going to read their stuff.
Hmm.
But
Mhm.
if somebody walks into the library the next day and says, I want to check out all 7 Harry Potter books, I can't say, oh, did you know that J.K. It doesn't work like that. And I think that
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
BookTube works in this sphere of, this is the real world and this is how everyone operates. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, we are a bubble, and we hold each other's to these standards in this bubble that don't exist outside of that bubble. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's more difficult, I think, than we give credit for in certain situations like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of imperative. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly what
I'm
this comment is. It like I think that there can be a real. I see it honestly less on BookTube itself and more on Book Twitter, where
and
there's
Yeah.
this
TikTok
Yeah.
and
That's
this
book
is
talk
the
too.
accepted this is the accepted wisdom, like,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
thus spaketh the book
The book
Twitter
community.
The book community. Yeah.
um, and it's just like that's just not how life works. So like I try to be clear. Like JKR is a great example of like, for me, it's an easy boundary for me to say like I'm not going to support her on my channel anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
I am not going to keep any of the books from her. I don't want, like, that's what I'm doing for me. But I don't know how I would respond if I didn't have a public platform. So like I don't want to put that on other, and like other booktubers have different considerations. Like, this is for me what it's a clear decision for me, but like it may not be a clear decision for other people. And like, I don't really, without more context, want to just dive in and say like, you are outside the orthodoxy, like you are outside the bounds of our community now.
Yeah. I have a hard time too with the idea of telling people like under no circumstances should anybody ever read something. Like that's just not, like I just feel like everybody needs to make their own choices because there's so much that goes into that, and I don't know. And I mean, I made a very controversial video about authors I'm not supporting. That was fun. But like even in that too, it was like, this is what I'm choosing to read and not read, and like you should make your own decisions about how you feel about that. So
yeah. And you know, if Ashley had not agreed to do the Twilight read along with you, I wouldn't have gotten to hear her thoughts on Midnight Sun, and I would have been the poorer for it. So
and people in a library system, people were eating that book up. And
I see it every time I go to the doctor. Somebody else is reading it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you decide like what things matter to you and what things don't, and like it's okay if it's different for everyone, I think. Yeah, no, it's true. Outside of our bubble, like people don't even know about J.K. Rowling. Like it's not like people don't know. It's not.
No, people don't know at all.
It's interesting.
And just honestly,
just people, they do.
But the number of people that I have blocked because of things they have said to me, I mean, look, people are interesting.
But you know, for me, it's so, man, and that's why I feel like more discussions like this need to be happening within the community so people get a taste of what it's like in a book community outside of BookTube, because it's very, oh my gosh, y'all, it's so different. I mean, we could even talk about, and it's not really on topic, but just even simple things like what's popular on BookTube is not popular outside of BookTube. What's popular, it's interesting seeing, and I think that's probably the most fascinating things about my job is that it's two very different. They intersect at some points, but it's like two different things. Like things that we're like hype about, that we love. Readers at the library are like, what? Who's that? What book? It doesn't even get circulated in the system. So I don't know. People are going to be people who are people. I mean, people will be people.
Oh, this is interesting. Yeah.
It's the same thing. We always say that libraries or librarians have enough materials to offend everybody that walks through our doors. If you don't believe it, I promise you walk through the door, I will find something to offend you. It is the nature of the beast.
I also think this is fair too. Like I think it's valid if like not everybody wants to like pay attention and keep up with it. I do feel like having a platform, and the bigger it gets, like the more I feel like a responsibility to at least be somewhat aware of things people have done, especially when it really blows up. But I get that.
I agree, because I feel like you can very innocently step in it with people if you don't have a certain awareness of something that online bookishness people are aware of. Or even just like on a more positive note, like Bethany, you and me and Leanna were talking about this the other day, like even just, a positive thing of somebody, confirming or morphing what pronouns they want to use over time, right? Like that's something that I want to know if there's a change, because I want to refer to that person by the pronouns that they prefer. But you can also trust and believe that if I have missed that, I will have people sometimes very kindly and sometimes very unkindly correcting me about that. So I think as a creator, you have to find the balance of like, I want to be somewhat in the know, because frankly, just from like a defensive posture. I don't want to like walk into something and not know about a big dust up or a change or whatever, and have people like react to that and not be prepared for it.
But
that's just me being defensive.
I think too, that's draining. I don't think people understand too how draining that can be on someone's mental health. It is extremely draining when people think, and just especially book Twitter, okay? Some people have different lives. Like we all just talked about our schedules. I'm not on Twitter all day. Quite frankly, I'm very rarely on Twitter during the week. I have a full-time job and a child. So if something happens in the bookish community during the week, guess what? I don't really know until maybe the weekend when I can catch up on stuff. So I think
Jess puts up a community
or Jess puts up a video. It's one of those situations where it's like you cannot have the expectation for everyone to know everything at every point that's happening, because people have lives outside of BookTube, Book Twitter, and Bookstagram. And if you have the luxury of being on social media all day, more power to you. But some of us, and I speak from my own personal experience, I literally do not have time to be on. I can't be on my phone, actually. If I'm on Twitter, I'm on break or I'm on my lunch. I'm on a 15-minute break or I'm on my lunch break. So I think that when you start stressing people out, like, why, how come you didn't see this? How come you didn't see that? Sometimes events are so small, and I'm not talking about like big things like Black Lives Matter or, any huge event like that where literally it is all over the place. Small things people may not catch up on or may not even know happen. BookTube or Book Twitter drama can happen, and I get on Twitter 9:00 at night and somebody's had a complete fallout. I would have never known that happened. So it's stressful, and it was, I don't want to say that played a part in my kind of disappearance for a week, but just that pressure to feel like I must know everything at all times and be aware at all times. I can't. I literally do not have the physical capacity to do that, nor the mental capacity.
Yeah. And I think it's also draining to have this expectation that for every author, like there are some things that authors do where, aside from, I'm not going to put Ashley in this position because she can't take these kinds of lines, but there are certain things, when it comes to like, this person has committed a crime kind of a thing where it's pretty easy to be like, okay, like, I think I'm cool with not giving this person money anymore. But there's a lot of things where I can see a range of reactions to what the author did as being pretty legitimate. Yeah. And just like the exhaustion of like coming on and performing that understanding can be very tiring of like, okay, I know this group, you guys feel this. I know y'all over here think this. I know you guys over here think this. And like, I say it makes it sound like this, I have to do that, but I feel a responsibility of like, if I'm aware of something, to also demonstrate that I understand that I'm not expecting everybody to have the same opinion about something. And even just going through that mental exercise, some days I'm just like, oh gosh, I just can't, like, I just can't have to think about all of the different nuances and ways to talk about this particular issue, because I'm not going to be able to make anyone fully happy.
No. Yeah, I am never super comfortable about this, about like the absolutes of like, here's a list of people to never support, because I just think it tends to lack nuance. It tends not to like also, well, and also like those lists that go around, like sometimes like you'll have an author who will like actually apologize and make changes, and that doesn't get like noticed. So I don't know. I just like I'm always very uncomfortable with that.
Censorship. And I'm gonna go ahead and be transparent with y'all, because I'm and I haven't really said anything about it. When you create those lists and you tell people not to read books, that's censorship. And if
Mm.
you don't know how dangerous it is to engage in censorship, I would advise you to open up a tab and start doing some research on that. I can understand you making a list and saying, I myself will not actively be supporting these authors because of X, Y, and Z. If you choose to do so, that's your decision, but this is why I won't support them. But making lists and telling people you should not read these books is censorship, and it bothers me a lot because it's like I don't think people even realize that what you're engaging in is a slippery slope, and that's very, very dangerous. And I do not like those lists at all. I am not a fan of those in the least bit.
Yeah.
Jess, thank you on this too. Of like,
this is so true.
I you know, collective action does change things and does move the needle, but to act like one booktuber you watch who reads a book from somebody you don't like is making that person's career is just like,
well, and vice versa. Like a booktuber saying that they're not going to read a book from a person is also not going to destroy their career, unless they're like maybe a teeny tiny indie author and it's someone with
like
a lot.
if they're an indie
like,
author, sure, but I mean, for the most
but
part.
also I feel like most people don't do that with indie authors unless they just do or say something truly reprehensible. Like,
we got one.
So yeah, I mean, it does happen.
What?
Don't say her name. She appears.
Oh,
you say it 3 times in the mirror.
Looking for clout.
What I hear. What I hear.
Yoni has a good point too here. It's also hard when people treat drama as their chance to get engagement. Yeah. I feel like to be weary of stuff like that too, because there are people who look like they're engaged and they're standing up for what's right, and really all they're doing is clickbaiting because they want those views and they want that engagement, and they're not really providing you with any critical way of thinking about what's happening in that moment surrounding whatever topic it may be. And I see a lot of that happen. I saw that happen last week, and I shared it with someone else, and I said, now this is wild. this is wild. Like, you never speak up about any of this stuff. And it was presented in a way that I felt like this was the first time anybody had talked about the situation. And for me personally, it came off as clickbait. And it happens a lot in the BookTube community. It looks like well-meaning intentions, and it's really not. It's not well-meaning intentions.
Yeah. And it's one thing, you know, I think even this weekend, Ashley, we were talking about this. I mean, like, there are certain content things that go around BookTube and everybody's trying to jump on it. Like, you know, it was Shadow and Bone with that adaptation. You know, there's every couple months there's a thing that lots of people are trying to talk about because it's, you know, the thing to talk about. It's a little different though when it's like drama related, or if it's like a serious topic. Trying to jump on it in the same way is a little sus.
It is. It definitely is.
Yeah.
Self-behavior.
Okay, so I think maybe we could pivot a little bit at about an hour, and I think this has been good conversation, but I'd like to also talk a little bit about like how we go about creating content, how we try to like, we can get back if you want into like how to try to like make it healthy with mental health, and some of that's been woven into the conversation, but then also if people watching have like specific questions or things they'd like us to talk about, maybe we could field a few of those.
Well, I just made a process video about how I make videos, and honestly, I think it was bad for my mental health to see it laid out like that, because I was like, holy shit, like this is far too much work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, but people don't realize how much effort and time goes into making content. It's a lot.
Yeah, that was the number one comment. Oh, sorry. That was the number one comment I got. Was people being like, "Oh my god, I'm glad you think this is fun because this is so much work." Like, yeah, when I lay it all out like this, I realize how much work it really is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people don't always realize. I appreciate watching it. I was like, yep, yep. Well, and your process is a little different than mine, so that's interesting. But like, just in general, the amount of like time and effort, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I wing it. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Because the way that my schedule works, it is, I know that there are people who plan stuff and they're able to kind of, my kind of organized, analytical side of my brain is, most of that is saved for like work, to be honest. When, like right now, we just finished a grant. I'm hopping into another grant. So all that organization for me, like all the energy is funneled into work because it has to be funneled into work. So for me, honestly, it's like I'm looking at the week, like right now, like today's Thursday, right? Tomorrow I'll start thinking like, what do I want to put up next week? And when I filmed that video, a mental health video, there are videos that people see and literally it was shot probably 48 hours before it went up. Sometimes I would like to bulk film, but for me, it's just one of those things that's super difficult because, I have to be at work by 8:30, but I also have to drop my child off at daycare before I go to work. It's a 30-minute commute to get her to school, and then I have to go back to work. By the time I do all of that and I get home at night, which is my only time to film, I don't want to sit down in front of a camera. Like, I don't want to do any of that stuff. So weekends, and then I'm at the mercy of the people who live around me. I live around a college kid who we just had to have a talk, heart to heart, this week about, I know you're young and you like to party, but guess what? The weekends only. That's the only time I'm giving you. You can't party during the week. So stuff like that. I'm at the mercy of a lot of different factors or a lot of different things that prevent me from having a true process, I guess. I don't really feel like I have a process. I'm like that kid that went to school and is like, oh shoot, we got a project due in 2 days. What are we gonna do? Let's stay up all night and finish the project. I mean, I was that kid in high school too, but
meanwhile, Ashley gave us Vlogmas. Like, you gave us Vlogmas last year, and you had a video up every freaking day.
Okay, so let me explain that nonsense. Let me explain how that happened and why I will never, ever, ever probably do that again. We were still, in somewhat of a lockdown. My work schedule, the pandemic allowed me to do some things that I've never been able to do before in terms of filming and putting up content. I was working from home a lot. I had to get, the baby to school by 9:30. So if I stayed up late, it was like, sleep till 8 o'clock and then rush and get you to school by 9. So I had a lot more flexibility then in December, being able to sit down and stay up late and film videos at one time. Whereas now that I'm back at work and I'm in the full swing of things, like I'm going into a physical building 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. I can't do that anymore. There is no staying up late to 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Not when I have to be up at 6 o'clock and not only get myself ready, but then a child ready. It was fun. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I used that opportunity to do it. But y'all never see it on my channel again. Never.
It's I think working from home for the last year and a half and will through the rest of the year for me at least, and actually probably even beyond that, has helped me so much with my content creation because it's given me a lot more flexibility in terms of like, that's 2 hours a day that I'm not commuting and getting ready and everything, like just 2 hours a day back basically. So I right before the panini, I said that I was going to 2 videos a week because it was getting to be too much for me. But then when the panini happened, it was like, okay, well now I'm getting basically like 10 hours a week back. So that becomes a little more doable to have to keep going with this schedule. But yeah, I don't know. It's wearing on me at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because like I usually do like to bulk film when I can and kind of plan and schedule videos ahead of time. And the last few months, because one of my goals this year is I really wanted to do, because I know Jess asked this question, which is a great question. Thank you. I really love projects like that. And one of my goals for the year is I wanted to do some bigger projects. And it does require more organization. And so I have a planner where I plan out like my videos, and you know, it's a mix though. Like I don't plan everything. There's always space for like if I feel inspired. Like right now I actually don't have that many things to but just why I'm like maybe I should take a break for a week.
I try to have a mixture of things that are like, well, so like for month-long projects, I learned last year I've got to pick things that I'm genuinely super excited about and will be excited about no matter like 3 months from now or whatever. So like this year I'm doing Agatha Christie and Nora Roberts. Okay, like those are going to be easy things for me to be excited about. But then I like to have a mixture of like videos that have to go up at a certain time because they're like either there's a sponsorship I've agreed to, or it's like based in something with the time of the month. So like the end of the month wrap up, whatever. But then I also like to have kind of like, I bulk film things that I think could go up pretty much whenever, like ideas that are not tied into a specific time. And then if inspiration strikes, I can always push those videos down a little bit. Like they're not as tied into a certain, date that it has to go up. So I try to have like a mix of things that I feel flexible about and things that I don't feel flexible about.
Yeah. No can do. It's gotta be, which is why a lot of my content now has shifted over to discussion stuff, because I feel like that's my strongest point.
I love your discussions.
I love your discussions.
That's what I feel like is that's my arena. That's the arena that I can kind of move in, because it's what I do for a living. So to sit down and just discuss, whether like, been doing a lot regarding like banned and challenge books. I do that. That is my job. So I'm also finding that content that relates a little bit more to what I do in terms of my profession has made it a lot easier. Or when I can discuss things like, certain things that I feel about the community. I got one on my head that I think may happen. I don't know if I'll make it happen this weekend, but one that I wanted to do for a while. But discussion based for me is probably going to be my thing. I like the whole concept of doing like theme reading vlogs, and like the Mermaid project that I did last year was probably like one of
cool.
It was one of my favorite projects that I ever have done while I've been in the community. But we were also in the middle of a pandemic. I really wasn't. Not saying that I wasn't working, but the workload wasn't there. If I do a theme reading vlog, it's going to take me months to do it, because also my brain, once I'm so structured at work, when I like am not at work, my brain is like, no, ma'am, we're not doing this. Like, what do you feel like doing? And I've had to come to that realization too, in the past month or so, that I kept trying to figure out like a balance of what's expected of me and what I want to do. And then it's like, no, I have to do what I feel passionate about, what I feel compelled to do, because if I don't, I'm going to burn myself out and I'm not going to want to be a part of this community anymore.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like everybody loves your discussion videos, Ashley.
We do.
Appreciate it, y'all.
They are great. And I mean, we had some questions. I'll scroll back up, but I'm like trying to kind of like keep an eye on stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think that's important, right? Is like do what is fun for you and what works for you. And like, it doesn't have to be a specific thing. Like, I think it's important to talk about how things are different. So like, even with like the longer videos, like, it's fun and creatively fulfilling for me to do, you know, and I can do it. Like, I have the bandwidth for it. So like, yeah, I don't know. Okay. Let's see. Why so many people think never taking a day off is a great plan. Yeah. You know, I am bad about this. And half the time when I do take a day off, I'm like, how can I turn this into a vlog when I'm going and like doing I'm not good at taking time off, actually.
Yeah.
Until I like have to.
No, I've made I have the time at work now. So what I do is I promised myself that I would do at least one day a month, and that means absolutely nothing. That's no work, no BookTube, no nothing, because I need that moment where I'm just focusing on me. While my child's at school, I'm literally sitting here and I'm doing nothing. I will literally sit in a chair and stare at a wall because I need to just I need time to kind of decompress from everything. But I think that's the society that we live in, especially here in the States, where you're encouraged to work, 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 work. You can always sleep when you're dead. You know, like that type of, I mean, seriously, I had a friend who went to SCAD, and they used to say sleep comes after death. And I'm like, y'all, you know, but you start functioning like that. And I feel like that mentality creeps into everything that you do. And like Yanni said, like, it's this hustle. Like, you gotta hustle. You gotta do what you gotta do. And I'm a hustler. And, you know, I do this and I do that and I do this and I do that. And it's so unhealthy. It's very unhealthy to a certain degree.
Yeah. I mean, it's been hard. For me, it's more just like a planning thing. It's very hard for me to let go of a plan once I've made it. So I have to put breaks into the plan, or else it feel like it's stressful to me. So I'm trying to, like somebody's talking about losing the algorithm. And yeah, I think that's kind of like drilled into YouTubers to some degree of like, if you take a break, you're going to get punished for it.
I mean, it's true.
It depends on how long of a break, but I think something I need to work on this year is being more okay with saying like, hey, like, I've got this big video essay I've been working on that's just taking a lot of time. And it's like, rather than kill myself to get a video up this week, like, I need to just give myself permission to work on something that I'm really excited about and that I'm really enjoying, but I don't have time to do something else. And like, that's fine, but it's very hard. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's very hard because I'm such a plan-oriented person. I don't have a problem taking a break. It's just, I need to have it scheduled in. So like last Sunday was my like scheduled, like, I did not get out of bed until 6:00 that night, or 5:30, I guess, to go have dinner with one of my friends. But like, that was the plan. The plan for that day was to do nothing. So like, I followed the plan.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, this is a thing that I need to work on, because it's totally a me issue, not an anybody else thing. But I think because before, when we just had one child and before I was on YouTube, I had a full-time job and was like adding a lot more income to our family. And so now that I am not adding as much income to our family, like, there is a part of me that feels like, well, then I had better make sure that I am really working very hard whenever I have the chance. And this is not my husband putting this on me. This is like me doing this to myself. And I need to learn to just like be okay and let it go. So yeah.
If you had a full-time job, you would take time off. So
I would. Yeah.
Yes.
So I need to like build it into my schedule. I like the idea of doing like a day a month where you just do whatever you want to do. I think that's great.
Yeah.
I should do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I've seen a few asking about like making content. Yeah, this exactly.
And
Like
this, I think this is a
things
great
you like
question.
versus things you think will be popular.
Yeah, how do you guys approach those?
Popular.
I don't anymore. Honestly, I don't. I like. I was about to say I've accepted my fate. It's that's not what I
Actually,
mean.
you say that like you are just like out here with 20 subscribers.
I know, right? I'm like, come on now.
I think that I made a promise to myself this year that I had to stop thinking about, and it's hard because YouTube doesn't reward you for that. The book, listen, let me tell you something. Be honest, and y'all know how I am. If you care, you care. If you don't, you don't. You get mad, you know where to find me. BookTube also does not reward. As a community, we do not reward passion. And it's super unfortunate because I feel like people want to be passionate about things. Not saying that people are not passionate, but I think people want to be passionate about other things and feel like they can't be because it's not rewarded behavior. It's not content that people will watch, which for me, I feel like leads to BookTube having turnover because people are like, I'm making content that I think people want to see, but do I really want to do this? Like, do I really want to talk about this? Do I really want to do a reading vlog? Do I really want to do this tag? Or am I doing it because I've seen a creator get clicks for it? Not realizing that there are a million and one factors that play into a lot of that stuff. Sometimes you can do the same video as someone else, and guess what? The algorithm still don't want you. Like, and it's unfortunate because I think for me, I've kind of come like there are some moments when the algorithm eats me up, and then there's moments when the algorithm is like, screw you, who are you? We don't like you, we don't need you. Like I feel like right now, my videos this week have been doing things that they've never done before, and that's because the algorithm has picked it up. Something about what I've done this week, the algorithm likes. I promise y'all, into next week, the algorithm is gonna say, child.
Yeah.
You tired and worn out now. Like we don't want to have anything.
I don't know you.
I don't know you. Who are you?
Yeah.
What's your name? I don't really know you. So I think that it's a process of why are you here? What are you here for? Are you doing this because you want the views? And I'm not saying that we don't, because you put your heart and your soul into stuff and you want people to watch it. You want to see it be successful. But your overall vision of why you're here. Are you here because this is a hobby, because you want to have fun or whatever the case may be? Or is it all about the views? Because when you get to that point where it's all about the views, it's going to disappoint you to some degree. Every video that you do is not going to do well. I have a comic book video coming out tomorrow, and I promise y'all it's not going to do well because I know for a fact it's just not content that BookTube wants. Do I care? Absolutely not. So for me, it's now just focusing on what I want to talk about. If the views come, they come. Do I want them to come to a certain degree? I would be a liar if I said I don't want my videos to be. That's a lie. That is a complete lie. But I think it's kind of deconstructing that mentality of I'm a failure if I don't get 5,000 views, or I'm a failure if this video does not do as well as someone else's video. I think that ties all back into mental health. When you start getting down that road of, why is this video this is not doing, it's going to wear on you. And then eventually you're going to be like, I don't even want to do this at all because, hey, I'm not getting the clicks, I'm not getting the views. So sorry, that was a very, very long answer, but
no, it's
I don't think I do a balance anymore. There is no balancing. It's either I want to do it or I don't want to do it. Because I know for me personally, if I continue to try to chase that high, it's going to make me fall. And for me mentally, with what I battle with every day, I can't do that. My mental stability cannot afford to do something like that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's kind of a mix, I guess. Like, I have, I have a few staples that I do every month and they tend to do well. So I continue to do them because they give me content where I know what I'm doing and they do well. So like my TBRs, my wrap ups, my book hauls, like I just do them regardless of whether I like feel like it or not, I guess. Like usually it's fine and I don't mind doing it and people like it and it's consistent and Um and then for other content, I mostly do what I want to do because if I'm not having fun, it won't last long. Like sometimes I'll be like, oh, maybe yeah, because like sometimes I'll even have ideas of like, oh, I could do this thing and I think people would be into it, and I'll make like one video in a series and I'm like, this is not fun for me. So I will just quietly not keep making all of these or find a different spin on it that is interesting to me. Because it's just like I don't think it's sustainable to make content you're not enjoying. I mean, I try to find that sweet spot of like, I mean, sometimes you make something that's really just a passion project where nobody else is going to care, but you really care about it. And so you make it anyway. And I think that's great to do. And then I think a lot of the time it's like that kind of sweet spot of like, okay, this is a thing I want to make and I'll try to make it somewhat accessible to the algorithm at the same time. I guess that's like kind of, I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I definitely have things that I make because it's the time of the month to make it kind of a thing. Now, luckily, I love making check-ins, like my mid-month and my end of the month check-ins are two of my favorite videos to do. So like they do well for me, but I also just love them. But like I think it's somewhat is just being realistic about, or well, how to say this? I think YouTube is designed to have you constantly chasing the high of in the
Yes.
creator's studio, having it saying, this is the number
The number
one
one video
of
for your
the last
last
10
10.
videos
Oh
that you've
God. Yeah.
posted. Like
Yeah.
that's what it is. Like it's a little,
Uh-huh.
dopamine hit whenever I get that. But then like I remember the other day I was looking because a video went up and it was like, oh, it's number I think 6 or 7. And I was like, oh, I thought that would have done better. And I took a step back and looked and I was like, oh, like all of these videos are clustered at right around the same number of views. Like there's literally just like 20, 20 to 50 views separating my number 7 or 6 or 7 from my number 3. So like,
Wow.
why am I letting it just was a real like take a step back moment of like, okay, well, what I'm demonstrating is that I'm consistently performing at a certain level with my video. And like a year ago, I would never have dreamed that all of my videos would be getting that number of views. So like what am I like? YouTube is very good at putting you in this like cage with yourself where you just get in your mind about things and like it's so easy to lose
Yeah.
perspective when the
Yeah.
reality is like there's some videos I make that I know I'm going to get a lot of views on out the gate. There are other videos I make that I think possibly will have longer term kind of payoff to them. Like for instance, this sorry, I keep talking about this video essay, but like guys, this is all I've been doing in my free time for the last week. But I'm making a video essay about Jane Eyre that like, I mean, I'm gonna premiere it. So I think that will help it not totally die when it first premieres. But I expect that's one that probably will do better for me longer term. So like when I see it on my little list and it's at, number 8, I need to keep in mind that like, okay, when kids are, Googling something about the ending of Jane Eyre, probably my video will come up. So like, so long as people are writing papers about Jane Eyre, I will be getting some residual clicks. So like sometimes I have to go through that process in my mind too of like, even if this is something I'm super passionate about and I'm not sure it's going to do right away. Oh, there you go. Yeah, because I just posted being like, I know none of you care about this, but like I have put 40 hours into this GD video. But like I try, when I'm really passionate about something, I'm like, somebody's going to care about this too. So even if it's not my best performing video, if it's niche and I like can do my best with it, there's a good chance it'll do okay for me in the long run. So like,
Yeah.
Anyway, YouTube is just such a head game, guys. Like, for anybody who's a creator, you just know that it's just such a mind game with yourself.
Well, and sometimes there's a video that will do terribly, and then like a year or 2 years later, for whatever reason, the algorithm will just pick it up. Like I had a video that I put a ton of time into. It was totally a passion project, and I was very proud of it. But like, nobody watched it for like the first year. Basically, it had like a couple hundred views or something. And it was the thing where I did this like walking tour of like 9th house locations on the Yale campus. I'm very proud of it.
It was such a cool idea too. Like, it was so unique.
Yeah, it was fun. And now it's like doing better, and it's like, for whatever reason, at some point it kind of got picked up, and now it's got like a decent number of views on it. But like for a long time, for like a year, there was like a few hundred views. I was like, I put so much time and like love into it. But yeah. You just don't know.
Yeah, it is. It's I think too, there are opportunities that can come out of making passion videos, and not videos that BookTube necessarily like. I haven't really said anything. I don't know if I guess it's not that big of a deal for me to say anything. But like, y'all know, like, comics are my thing. That's my, and people on BookTube they refer to them as graphic novels, but we're not going to get into that. But for the most part, most of BookTube they don't read comics like that, because there is a comic side of YouTube, which I refuse to make a separate channel. Like, I'm just not going to do it, because that's another beast in itself. But like, I got the opportunity to be a long-term guest on a podcast of two guys that I highly admired for their comic content. So there's other things that come. It may not be in the views, but there are other opportunities that come out of stuff like that, and that would not have happened had I not made the comic content on my channel, because that's how they found me. So, I think that there are other benefits. Thank you, love. I think there are other benefits that can come out of doing things that you're passionate about.
Yeah. I mean, like the International Agatha Christie Festival reached out to me last year to have a video for their festival online. I think that video got maybe like 200 views. It was like it didn't necessarily do that well, but like, that established a relationship with them. And, this year, with traveling being what it is, may or may not get to do something with that, but probably I'm going to get to do something with them long term. And you do different videos for different reasons. You do different creative things for different reasons.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that's what makes you.
Yeah. Like the last couple weeks, I've been like putting so much time into making TikTok videos, and I have like a teeny tiny audience. Like, hardly anyone's watching them, but I'm having so much fun with them. And it can be like creative and more funny than I usually am on my YouTube channel. And that's been like, I'm like, I don't know, it's fun. It's like been a fun creative project.
Converting people to comics.
Yeah. They're just, and I think too, I think the reason why I think I continue to do it, even though the views are not there for my like, I know, like, if we're talking about like the way that it looks in studio, it's 10 out of 10 every single time without fail. And I go in knowing that, but it also, I feel like, exposes people. And maybe that's just my nature too. I think is about exposing people to things that they may not typically pick up, or they may not typically read. Comics being one of those things. People are not, people don't read that stuff. But, if I can expose people, and there's one new person saying, hey, I'm willing to try this out. Or, people say, I tried this and I'm really, really enjoying it. That to me means a lot more than the 150 comments I may get on a popular video. I'm not saying that those comments aren't important, but I think that sometimes the small things matter as well. Not just the video that gets, 10,000 views and you're getting all these comments.
That's kind of how I
Also-
feel too, Smelter. I'm like, I don't have time to have something else like this that I'm obsessed with.
Listen, okay, first of all, I would like to say it is not that big of a rabbit. I know I make it sound like a rabbit hole, especially in my wrap-ups when I'm like, yeah, I read Batman Detective Comics issue number 1035. People were like, girl, what? It sounds super complicated,
It
but
does.
it's really not that bad. It's not that bad, but yeah. But I love it.
That's great. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Alexa, I love your book
I love your
review
book
videos.
reviews. Yeah.
I mean, but also I'm not an author, so I don't like. I watch some of the AuthorTube stuff, but I really like the book review.
Also, speaking of like the algorithm loving something, Alexa, I don't know why, but your dead genre video, which I've watched a couple times and enjoyed, like I enjoy that video. YouTube has recommended that to me probably 4 times in the last week. I don't know why, but it really, really wants me to rewatch this video again. So anyway, the algorithm.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad you love Paper Girls, Rebecca. It's iconic sci-fi.
Yeah.
It is so good.
Sorry, Jen, I didn't mean to set off your device.
I thought this was an interesting question. Do you feel the same about content as a creator as you do as a fan?
So, okay, I'm about to tell on myself.
You go first.
So I watch a lot of YouTube. I really, because I don't have cable. Like this is my TV. So I used to watch so much more BookTube than I do now. I have to say, like, I have my people that I really like, and then YouTube does recommend these people sometimes, and there'll be an interesting video, and I'll get into some new people. But I just don't watch that much BookTube anymore, other than kind of my like standard favorites, because yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know how to finish that sentence, but I don't know if it's because I almost wonder if it's because like I spend so much time making it that it's not as fun to watch it. Like once you've kind of seen behind the curtain a little bit of whatever, I don't know, but yeah, I would say that that's been the biggest change of me becoming a creator is that I don't enjoy BookTube content as much to watch unless like I know the person or it's just a super interesting topic for me. I watch so much commentary YouTube. That's like my very favorite. And there's just not that much of that in BookTube.
So I watch a lot of comic stuff on YouTube. I'm not gonna even lie. It's not that I don't like BookTube videos, but I have my core that I watch too now. My time is very limited, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I have to pick and choose what I have time to watch. The reason why I end up watching a lot of comic material is because comics move a lot faster. So we get new material every single week. And events happen like this. So for the past couple of months, y'all, oh gosh, like I have my core that I do watch, but as far as like kind of like spreading my tentacles out, it has been more in the comic. It's been more in the comic community, trying to really. But see, once again, that's my passion point, And it's not saying that I'm not passionate about other booktubers or whatever the case may be, but I know that in order for me to keep up with what I'm really into, I'm going to spend more time watching that than I would just kind of scrolling through and watching a lot of BookTube. And then I kind of agree, Mara. I think like once you're doing videos and you're editing, you kind of you're like, I can't do it. I don't want to, And it's
well, there's also only like so many times you can hear somebody talk about the same book. Like, I mean,
Well, I will say there's endless number of times I can listen to people rip into a book. So I really wish like there were more like, I mean, if we're telling tales, what was that Sasha Alberg book that came out?
Oh, what is it? What is that? Oh God.
The sci-fi one.
Yeah.
Yeah. When that came out, like I couldn't get it. I could have watched 100 videos, and that's so callous of me, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to know. Well, I have problems with Sasha Alsberg for different reasons associated with like COVID, traveling during COVID. But like aside from that, so, yeah, I did a whole live about that. But aside from that, no specific shade to her about the book. It's just listening to people like I literally. Like I'm waiting for that next book. Like when that book comes out, I will just enjoy watching everybody go off.
Let me just tell you,
I don't even want to.
I'm listening.
Based on early reviews I am seeing, you may get that with the next Christine Riccio book.
So I have heard as well.
Just look at
Isabella. Look at Isabella in the comments.
It's
yeah. So I have heard as well.
I have not heard that, but I appreciate the early tip. I will keep my eyes open and click on those with haste when they come to my feed.
I'll just say, like, some of those Goodreads reviews are like, whew, so I'm waiting for
What's it called again?
Better Together.
Better Together. Yeah.
Okay.
It's about to come out. So.
And again, no specific shade to her.
No shade to her.
Sorry, I just saw that star rating, and I think you are correct, Bethany. That is where things are headed.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of a mix. I have very limited time to watch BookTube.
Sorry, I just did a quick scroll, and it was So okay, I recommend you need it.
Yeah,
she's laughing all the way to the bank. She's good for her.
I mean, look,
because I'm telling you, with BookTube, thanks. I'm telling y'all, the greater public, they don't care.
Yeah, no, it'll be fine. So yeah, like I have like certain people I really like with BookTube, and I'll sometimes find somebody new who I'll like, but I'm very picky. I don't watch every video from every person because I just don't have time anymore. Yeah. Like there's too many people on my radar, and so I'll tend to do things that are more creative or like discussion videos. And then I have a handful of people where I'll watch like most of their videos because I just like the way they talk about books, but I'm just more.
Yeah, like there's some people who like I just really click with, and they could honestly probably be talking about whatever, and I'm gonna enjoy just listening to them. But yeah, I think I saw Brody say content creation takes up so much of my personal time, and I need to clock out of the community sometimes. I think that's how I've been feeling often these days. Yeah.
Yep.
But I love commentary and I love drama. And I gotta tell you, the beauty community used to be like my, serving, and it's just not good anymore. It's real sad. Like all the makeup releases are so boring, and there's not any, like all the drama is like crimes, not fun. Like I want to hear about like so-and-so didn't invite so-and-so to this party. Like this is why I watch The Real Housewives. Like this is what I like that. I don't want to hear like so-and-so is being investigated for messaging underage children. Like I don't want to listen to.
Yeah, a lot of the beauty community stuff now is about people trying to get other people locked up, and I just, it's too real.
It's too much. Yeah, I don't need that. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. We had a couple of questions about like comparison. Like, do you compare yourself to other booktubers?
It's natural.
Yeah, it's hard. I think it's hard not to. I try not to, but it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's in the sense of like, I think that is so cool, and like I wish I could make something like that. Some days it'll make me depressed, and other days it'll make me like strive of
Inspired.
like, okay, I'm going to try something a little different. And then there are other days where it's like, I think mine is better than that, but this has 50,000 views and mine has however many. But that's just human nature, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think too, and a lot of it, like, you know, I think for a lot of people, it's not out of, well, for some people, I think it's out of spite. I mean, hey, it is what it is.
Sometimes it probably is, yeah.
I think that sometimes, especially like if you have like the same following around a creator, or you and a creator have around the same following. I don't know what I just said.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to see them putting out content sometimes that is getting a bigger viewership, and your content is not that different. I think that can be difficult to see. But once again, the reality of the situation, which I feel like is sometimes we got to do those check-ins, like YouTube, listen, you're battling AI. And some people, it just works in their favor. Like Bethany, I think you said it first. Like, part of it is a stroke of luck. Like, there's some things you just can't do. You can't do about it. Now, some things I think have put people in very, very crappy positions. I know we talked about this a little bit on Saturday, like, beauty standards and stuff like that, or even, Black creators have always spoken up about the fact that when everybody went and subbed, because of George Floyd's murder, and that was their way to rectify, a year later, because we're almost a year later now, there are people who have high subscriber counts, but their expectation of what their videos should be performing at is not there because of the fact that people subscribe and they didn't watch them. It hurt them. So there's so many different components. And I just try to tell people, like, you don't, it's natural to feel that way, but don't allow yourself to get so bogged down in it that you feel discouraged about your content, or that you feel that you shouldn't be making content because it's not getting the same amount of views. Like, there are people whose ratios are insane as far as like their subscriber count and then the number of the views that they get for videos. And it just, the algorithm could be pushing it. They could, viewers could just be connecting with something different. Like, you don't know. You don't know.
The algorithm giveth and the algorithm taketh away. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to, somebody said the goal is to increase your chances of getting lucky. That's really all you can do. And comparison is the thief of joy. It's a cliche, but it's true. Like, if I'm looking at what someone else is doing, I'm not focused on myself and enjoying what I'm doing or trying to make what I'm doing better.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of these things that sometimes, like, my internal monologue is like, wow, maybe if, like, in most of my videos I didn't talk about like feminism and race, more people would like my content, but like, I'm not going to change it anyway. So, it is what it is. But like, I do feel like stuff like that can sometimes, like, I feel like that can shrink like the size of the people who are going to want to consume your content. But also, I guess I would rather figure out how do you, like, get the luck of the algorithm on your side to just tap into the community of people who want that content, because they're there too. So I don't know. It's like a weird.
I mean, I could wake up every day and say I wish I was white and thin, but I don't. So, I mean, I just feel like it's not a reality. So I'm not going to spend my time thinking about, oh my gosh, if I was a white woman or if I was thin and I looked like, I was conventionally beautiful. Listen, it's not. So why continue to bog myself down in a reality that it's not going to ever happen for me, It's not saying that you don't, like I say, I keep going back. It's not that you don't want your videos to be successful. You don't want the viewership for the hard work that you put into your content. But man, YouTube YouTube is a mess and a half. I love it and I hate it all at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Look, you should just do it. This is the
Yeah.
thing. Like, I mean, I just made an entire video where the whole vlog project was like recreating other people's video ideas. Just turn that into a thing. So, like, I mean, you know,
There's very few truly new ideas.
yeah.
So yeah, and yeah, we haven't seen your version of it, so
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have your own, because you have your own voice, you have your own spin, you have different books that you're going to be talking about. I think just go for it. You know, if you're excited to do it, do it. Yes, Bree, do the whole list. See, there you go.
Yes. You've been here for the long haul.
Love it.
Someone asked,
I may have missed something. I don't know.
do you think you can work for other booktubers?
who's paying?
Yeah,
What's that check look like?
that's
paying
the
for
thing.
that?
Maybe other YouTubers, but like, are there booktubers who have enough to actually hire somebody? I don't know. I mean,
No.
maybe if they're like graphic designers, like hire them to design a thing.
I burned a bridge with Sasha. I think we burned a bridge with Christine. So we're running out of ones who can afford it.
I burned a bridge.
Maybe like Alexa could hire one of us.
Listen,
Yeah,
let me tell you, those bridges were burned last year when I made that video. Okay, I burned because I was spilling tea all up and down.
Look. Oh yeah, this is an interesting series actually. BookTube Goddess does like reacting to other booktubers videos. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, credit other
what.
creators, 100%.
Oh yeah, for sure. I get probably 2 emails a week now of editors trying to get me to hire them, and I'm like, what kind of money you think I make? I mean, I'm sure in the top 10% for BookTube at this point, but like even the top 10% ain't.
Yeah, I mean, I get emails too. Like, no. Do you want to earn it like $1 an hour, like my children do for chores or something? Like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
That's better than what
can I pay you an energy?
I used to get a quarter for raking an acre of land. A quarter. That's
but look, I mean, hey, you know what though? Like inflation. Now I'll give them like a couple dollars for doing chores. There's chores they have to do because they're part of the family, but there's extra stuff that they can choose to do if they want to earn money.
Ooh, ideas for the future, Bethany.
Mm-hmm.
I also actually, my 7-year-old, he gets $1 for every 100 pages of a book he reads.
Oh.
So if he finishes like a 300-page book, he gets $3. He's very excited.
Does he have a performance review every quarter?
Not yet, but maybe we should institute.
Are you meeting exceeding expectations?
Brody, got paid. I didn't get paid for chores. My granny, out of the graciousness of her heart, was giving me a quarter for an acre to rake an acre of land. That was what I got paid as a child. I never got an allowance. It was no.
I got like a very small allowance. I think in high school I got like $5 a week. Yeah, this is about what I got in the last 2 years of high school, like $5 a week. And then I did babysitting.
You know what my mother said? When I turned 14, you better go find you a job. So I have had a job I've had a job since I was 14 years old. I have never known not working, which
See, my parents wouldn't let me get a job. They were like, you can babysit, but you are going to get A's in your classes and you can babysit on the weekends. Like you do not get to have a job.
I was spoiled. My parents said your school is your job.
Yeah.
No, my mama said school is your job and you better get out there and make your own coins because you're sucking me dry.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. Salter, go away.
Oh man. You living in my house while I work, you better look. You know what? They will clean up their toys. There are like extra things I will come up with for them to do if they want to earn money. Like not regular chores. But yeah, that's funny.
I figure the only reason you have kids is to have, like, you know, indentured
Domestic
servants
help.
for a while.
Listen,
Yeah.
Mara, we have mastered the cleanup song. She got up this morning and was like, clean up, clean up. I said, go ahead, girl. Pick up your toys. Because I'm tired of
Here's
being
the
the
thing,
cleaning
though,
fairy.
but they also make such a mess. So honestly, like our house was so much cleaner before we had kids. So like, yeah, they help a little bit, but like the percentage of extra mess from having children versus the amount of help from them.
It's never clean. Okay? It's never clean. I can't stand, like, I look around every day, I pick up stuff, and then the next day I'm like, why did I even waste my time? Why? I'll go and I'll clean up toys and put them in a bucket, and you know what she'll do? Walk over to the bucket. Crayons? No, leave the crayons in the bucket. Picks up bucket, dumps the toys everywhere on the floor. So.
Yeah. I mean,
my cats, you know, they have hairballs all the time, so.
It is funny though, because like, yeah. My older child is motivated by money though, and he is a saver. Like he'll decide on a big thing he wants and he will like save his money. Like he bought himself a skateboard. Like, okay, cool.
Good for him.
Yeah. And then the little one is a spender. So it's like he gets $5. He's like, I want a yo-yo. Okay, cool. So yeah. It's funny. Oh, everybody's got like stuff about allowances and yeah. See, I'll tell them too. I'll be like I'll buy them books, but otherwise I'm kind of like, if it's not your Christmas or your birthday, you can save money and buy it for yourself if you want that thing. Are you sure you really want it? Do you want to spend your money on it? Oh no, maybe not. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. So that's fun. Cool. So just like so
Can you
many
hear my
comments
cat
now.
making sad noises?
Look, it is wild. Yes. They will make a mess. I'll like I think it helps too, where I'll be like, oh, you want to do this fun thing first? You get to clean, and I'll be like, guess what we need to do first? And now they know. They're like, clean. I'm like, you're so smart. You knew what I was gonna say. It's great. Okay. Anything else we want? Because we're at like an hour 46. So we probably want to kind of wind down. I don't know if there were any like things we wanted to talk about in the last little bit.
I think we covered the questions people had.
Rebecca had one good question, one last good question. Rebecca said, I know you guys have talked about this before, but do you guys ever get emotionally drained when you feel like you're not reading enough? That's a good
emotionally drained when we feel like we're not reading enough.
I mean, I feel I'm in a slump right now, and I don't like it because reading is usually my like escape. So now I'm just twiddling my thumbs on TikTok instead of reading.
Download it. It will destroy my life.
When I tell you, I look up and an hour and a half has passed, and I'm like,
I can't do it. Yeah.
It's designed to make you just endlessly scroll. It is
the most compulsively, like, all these others, Facebook, Insta, they wish that they were as so. But anyway, I mean, it's more, for me, it's more, if I'm not reading, it's because there's something else going on. So it's more just like, the other part of it. But I guess I probably do feel some level of like, oh, I need to be able to talk to people about something. So I'm sure that kind of exists, but it's more just generally, if I'm not reading, that means life is pretty stressful or something's going on.
Yeah. I'm like always pretty much reading things. I think for me, it's more like, am I getting to all of the things I've agreed to read for stuff?
You gotta calm down with that, Bethany.
Yeah, you gotta slow down.
I know.
Yeah, I stopped. I'm not requesting anything. I'm not requesting anything right now, and I'm not accepting anything right now unless it's a picture book or or maybe any type of graphic work. And you're pushing the toe with children's in middle grade. But outside of that, like I just don't want anything at the moment. No, I don't, because usually my slumps end up with me, if you want to call it a slump, my slumps end up with me reading a lot of comics. So like right now, that's all I've pretty much read in May is single issues, catching up on series that I wanted to catch up with. I've probably read like 2, like your standard prose books this month, and that's fine with me. I mean, I'm not about to send myself into a fiery pit of distress, trying to keep up with I must read 20 books. No, I'm not going to do that to myself. So maybe in the past, yeah, I probably have, but right now, no.
Yeah, you're not
calling
doing
me
great
out,
on that,
Heather.
Bethany.
Thank you. No, I'm not. Who does well on their New Year's resolutions, though? Like, I think I'm in good company. It's
yeah, about a week. About a week. That's about how long mine lasts.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not doing well. You are
right
correct.
now. I'm putting off reading Shadow and Claw. That's like my big thing. That's like hanging over my head that I need to read.
I started it. It's interesting, but like the text is small, which is annoying.
That's why I picked it up and I saw how small the words were on the page, and I was like, oh no,
no.
Oh no, oh no.
I know. If it gets really bad, I might just like spring for the audiobooks. They're like Audible exclusives, so I'll have to like use credits for them, but I'm tempted. And they're separate because it's 2 books in one. So I'd have to get, I don't know, we'll see. I may for at least one of them. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure it's good. I just am not in the mood because I'm in a slump.
No. So all I've been doing is catching up on back issues and binging some really good art-based stuff. Yeah, I've been catching up on some Penguin Young Readers. Listen, they just send me digital. They don't even ask me. They just send me their digital, picture book stuff. So I've been catching up on some of that stuff, which I mean, picture books take you all of 5 minutes to really read. So I can always come through on a review for those.
Hey.
Anything longer than 30 pages, you are asking a lot.
Leanna just texted and she said, I'm lurking in the live and I'm listening to you groan about Shadow and Claw. Leanna, it's not, I'm in a slump. That's my issue. It's not.
That's funny.
It's not the pick.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I'm not like.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I just like the only thing I want to read right now is a murder mystery or a sci-fi romance where there's like some sort of crazy alien peen. Like,
okay, so it's been taking me like a while to get through it, but I'm like sort of obsessed with The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. This is what I was reading before. It's so good, and it's
so underrated.
Oh, like the feelings. Okay, so because she basically. Like the whole middle of it is like her recounting getting into an abusive relationship, but like in the 1800s when women had very little power, and it's like, oh man, it's so good.
I thought it was going to be a very different like twist of who she was and why she was there, and then once it gets revealed, I'm like, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
So it's so interesting. Yeah, I'm very into it. Who knew? And Bronte was I've never read her before. I'm really glad I am. It's really good.
Kind of Charlotte's fault.
Did somebody say what book?
Oh,
it's The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte.
It's Charlotte's fault because she was a little bit embarrassed of Anne's work, so she tried to like downplay it after her death.
Well, I think it's interesting because this feels so relevant to like now. I mean,
it's actually very similar to Jane Eyre in a lot of ways. Like more, I think it is much more similar to Jane Eyre than Wuthering Heights is for sure.
Yeah, but the
only thing is, what's his face is kind of a derp. Is it Gilbert? Is that the narrator? Yeah. He's kind of a derp, like that. But yeah,
that's fine. I don't really even mind though. I love But it's interesting because it deals with like addiction and alcoholism, like all of these like I was not expecting this book to be what it is.
It's
like,
really, really good.
It is. It's very compelling. So yeah. What little children like 5 can I'm not sure what that means.
No.
Ice Planet Barbarians. Hey, if it works.
I'm what's it like the king who looked around and saw there were no worlds left to conquer. That's where I'm at with Ruby Dixon, and it's a problem. Like I've surveyed the landscape, and lo, I have read all the Ruby Dixon except for one, and yeah, it's a sad place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty derpy.
Oh yes, thank you, Beth. That's true. So this was her patron pick. She got to like pick a book from my TBR for me to read this month. So thank you. I appreciate it. It was a good call. Yeah, I'm very into it.
Also, sorry, I guess we're wrapping up, right? But me and Leanna are the equivalent of like in a sorority house when everyone's cycles get synced. That is me and Leanna with books this year. It is wild. So like we both accidentally read The Tenant of Wildfell Hall at the same time. She's about to start My Sister the Serial Killer randomly, and I just read that. Like she and I are like simpatico. So
that's so funny.
Yeah,
that's really interesting.
Anyway.
I
don't know. No.
I officially because I click on my YouTube when I upload. This is not created for children. People under 18.
Other than like the videos I actually do with my children, those I will say are like those are fine, but like no. That's interesting. Yes, Ruby Dixon is a good option for a reading slump. Agreed. Cool. Well, I think we're at almost 2 hours, which I think is like a good place to stop.
Yeah.
So we covered a lot of ground. So thank you so much to everybody for joining us. And thank you, Ashley and Mara. I think this is a good conversation. And
thanks for having us. Everybody click the thumbs up before you go.
Yeah, smash the like button.
Help Bethany
smash the like button. Yeah. And have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday or Friday if you're in another time zone. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.